So I am on week 4 now, which is crazy. And I'm at that point now where I'm just working my way through all these pine needles and trying to get them done. And there's just a lot of detail in there and it's going to take a while. Like, this is, in my opinion, probably the most difficult part of all of it, really. So I'm getting on a roll. I'm figuring out which pens to use and how to do it more quickly. And hopefully by the time I get to that part up in the top of the tree, I'll be able to kind of like work my way through that pretty fast, but who knows? All right, this is where I got today. Another one of those areas that just feels like it takes forever. Looks cool when it's done, but yeah, it's just, it's a lot of like, you have to go through multiple times to get it to look the way you want. And even now I'm looking back and forth between this and the picture and seeing all sorts of things I want to fix, because you know, that's how that goes. So I'll probably need to just walk away and touch it again later. And on this very left side here, I had to, on the very edge of the picture, I've actually added an extra half inch on the right and left sides, just so that when I frame it, I have like a little bit of extra bleed over that I can put either a matte or frame spacers over. Yeah, that's just to give me a little bit extra flexibility. So I was actually just kind of making it up on that very left half inch. So. Yeah, tomorrow I'm just going to keep going up, so it'll be cool to have these parts starting to get filled in. So this is definitely another one of those what did I do today days. I feel like it took a while and I just didn't fill that much space. I worked more on this area, kind of filling that in further. And then I worked over here. And that area it just took a long time. There's a lot of little details to fill in, and this whole area is there's nothing behind it. It's just sky. So it is important right here that I get these silhouettes correct. I think they're kind of a focal point in the picture because it's near the sun. So this area is just going to take a while and I need to do it right. I mean, this is that point in this whole thing where I'm like, oh, am I really going to get this done by October 31st? I don't know. I may still be working on this for a few days. After October ends, I just don't know. Hard part is the last couple days I just haven't had like a lot of time. There's been a lot going on, and so I've only had like a little bit of time at night to work on it. And I'm just gonna have to make more time somehow. Well, this part is just work. I'm just going and going and going. It's just taking a long time. Yeah, the toughest part about this section, and it's going to be like this in the higher parts of the tree too, it's not like you can just do it with one pen. Like, you have to go through and get the darker areas, and then you want to get like slightly thinner areas, and then you got these fine detail areas, and it's all just, it's like 4 pens. So it's like I go through with one pen, and then I go through with another pen, and I go through with another pen, and that all just takes a while to build up all these layers and build up this texture that I'm creating here. I do like what it's starting to look like though. I mean, it's worth it, but it's just, you know, it's like I'm doing every section like 4 times. So I'll talk about some of the spots here. So this section here, you can see that I haven't done the fine detail in this top part yet. I just kind of blocked out the darker areas, and then I need to go in and fill in what is, you know, in the picture is like, they're kind of mid-tones. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Then there are parts down here where I use the finest, the extra, extra small pen. I wonder if I could zoom in even farther. Yeah, okay. So in these spots, I used the extra, extra small pen to create that kind of gray texture. There's barely a line there. But, you know, the idea was just kind of get just that little bit of a hint of something in there in the background. Now, I'm not really sure. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not really sure when I do ink wash over that, if that area is just going to kind of disappear or what. That could be interesting. I may have to kind of go back over some of that. I could go over some of that with ink wash too if I need to, but I liked doing it with the pen and kind of creating just a little bit of texture in there. I thought that was kind of cool. So I need to do that in all of these areas. There's a lot of that in here actually, all the way to the edge. So that'll be like the last step in this section. So tomorrow I want to finish that section, and then I want to move over here. This area is a lot of big pine needles again, and so there's not as much like fine detail, but I do need to look closely at my reference to make sure I'm not messing things up. So it'll take a lot of concentration. The other area I can kind of ad-lib it a little bit more, and it's going to look just fine. So I'll give you a little zoom out here and get an idea of what we're looking at. So that's where it's at right now. It is starting to look better. This area in the bottom is going to drive me nuts though until I get the ink wash on it. So I'm just trying not to look at it right now. This area farther up in the tree, a lot of this is not so dependent on the ink wash, so it'll look more like what I'm seeing. It's starting to get there. I'm in the slog, guys. These are like the switchbacks of the hiking trail. You know, you get through like the initial part that's like interesting and fun, and you're having a grand old time on your little hike, and then like you've been going for a while and you're like, oh, you know, are we gonna see the top of this mountain anytime soon? And then you realize you have a whole bunch of just endless switchbacks that you have to do before you get to that last part near the top. And you thought you were almost there, and you are just not. You're not almost there. That's what I feel like I'm in right now. Like I am just doing everything I can to trick myself into finishing this. Yep. This is the way it is. You get like to that, I don't know, almost 2/3 point, and this is where it always gets really challenging. So, bribing myself by making I made myself a pumpkin spice latte. I'm taking breaks to watch some horror movies. I'm doing my best here. Okay, that's where I am at today. So, I feel like I did a decent amount, yeah? I really just wanted to get up farther and into another area. I was like, if I'm doing the same thing again tomorrow, I'm gonna scream. So, yeah, I feel like I need to finish this part over here a little bit more. Like I got the detail in part of it, but not all of it. And then I'm gonna start working on this side up here. And I'll probably have to be standing to do all that, I think. Getting there and getting there. What is it, the 25th today? Gotta get moving. So I'm in an interesting scenario here with this masking fluid. If I wanted everything to be really perfect and precise, then I would have waited until I had done all the initial lines to put the masking fluid on. But I wasn't really looking for that. I kind of wanted a little bit of a random effect with the masking fluid. I didn't want it to be super perfect because I wanted to be able to kind of like introduce some chance into the situation. So it is making it hard for me to draw some of the lines though. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to basically skip those little areas that have masking fluid and then come back to them because it's like almost just more annoying to try and put stuff there and not be able to draw all of my lines and everything. So I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just working my way up here. This area that's up higher has a lot more dark in it. So I'll be doing a lot more of that with like the brush pen. Yeah. I'll just keep going. I am going to do a little experiment here. Now I have a couple sheets, 9 by 12 sheets of the exact same paper from the roll that I am painting on right now. So it's the Strathmore 500 mixed media paper in the big roll. And it's 100% cotton paper, and I'm really just trying to figure out what brush to use. So I mixed up a big old pot of my lightest version of the ink wash, because that is what I'm going to use to do the sky. And I mixed up a big old pot because I want to be able to just use this exact one on the picture itself. And hopefully it'll be enough. I think it will be, though. I think kind of a little goes a long way, so I think I'll be all right. But doing this will give me an idea. So this picture right now, as it is, where I have it taped off like this, is 11 inches wide, the visible part. And on the picture, the visible part is 12 inches. So it's pretty close. So I just measured this, and I have like a 10-degree tilt on this. So I'm using my, I don't know if you can see that or not, using my trusty programming book, you know, because that just gets used for art projects now. So, all right. So I'm going to test this out. I think that this brush will be sufficient. If this brush does not seem sufficient to do this wash, then I have some bigger brushes I could try and use. They're just kind of cheapies. So I don't want to use any really nice brushes for the ink. They get kind of messed up. So I have like designated brushes for the India ink, because in the end, I don't think it ever really washes out. So this is the Zen Royal and Langnickel brushes, which I do really like these for India ink. They work really well. So I think it'll be just fine. One thing I've noticed with this ink wash is that sometimes I get like particles of ink clumps in there that want to come off on the page. So sometimes I have to look for those and try and see if they're a problem. Most of the time they're small enough that it doesn't really matter, but okay. Here we go. Let's do it. That's interesting. See, that doesn't like hold as much ink as I kind of had hoped it would. So I'm gonna pull out a bigger brush. Oh no, I can't even use a bigger brush for this. Okay, it's good to know. All right, I'm just gonna try and do it anyway, I guess. There's a big old hair in there. That's a thing I hadn't expected to happen. Oh my God, there's one of my hairs in the middle of that. See, now I suppose if that happens on the real picture, I'll probably just leave it and let it dry. I don't know. Let's see. This is a good time to experiment, I guess. Let me try and grab that out of there. Oh my gosh. What a dumb problem. Okay, it came off, but it's not looking so hot. I mentioned before that India ink is not particularly forgiving, and you are seeing that right here. So this is a spot where I went in and messed with it, so I'm gonna see how that dries. If that shows later, that'll be good to know. I'm gonna pick up this extra ink here. Yeah, you can tell I'm not somebody who was like a seasoned watercolorist would have done a much nicer job. Watercolor is something that I do for fun, but I have not spent like the disciplined time practicing things like washes that some people do. So yeah, I see it, look right there. That's where I tried to pick up that hair. So it's good to know. This is the time to do those things and make those mistakes. So the paper is buckling up some, but I have it stapled down. And then I have my same painter's tape on top of it, and this is on another gator board. So this is very similar. It's like the same setup that I have on the main picture. So this will give me a good idea of how this is going to dry. So I'm going to walk away. I'm going to go work on the rest of the drawing for a while. It is, however, even though I went back and messed with it a little bit, it's looking smooth already. So that is the beauty of the cotton paper. I have really found that like India ink wash on any kind of cellulose paper is completely unforgiving at every level. Like it leaves all sorts of marks and blooms and things. And if you don't want those effects, you're going to be really, really frustrated. So you can see that spot right here. That's where I marred the paper a little bit with my nail when I was trying to pick up that piece of hair. I mean, it's not terrible. If that happened on my painting, it probably wouldn't even be noticeable, to be honest with you. Especially if it was like not in a really open area of sky, I wouldn't even see it, I don't think. So it's not that big a deal, which is nice. I'm gonna peel back some of the tape and look and see what color this looks like. So you can see the line right there. So that's a very light layer of ink wash, and that's probably just fine. Now I'm gonna play around a little bit with this. I might as well I feel like I should just use this paper for experimenting, so why not? So I'm gonna draw the outer ring of the sun, because the inner ring of the sun is supposed to be the white of the paper, and I didn't say that, so we're just gonna have to pretend that was there. Maybe I'll paint it in with some white or something. We're just gonna draw the outer ring. I'll put it like right here. I've already decided I'm sacrificing this piece of paper for experiments, so it will get used for all sorts of things. So my idea was to do something like this, just to block ink from dripping down into that area. And yeah, I'm gonna let that dry and I'll come back. Okay, this is dry now, and this is like the mountain ridge line that I have there. So I think what I'm gonna do is just do another wash of this same color. Gonna be a little less careful in this wash and see how that dries. See if I can see like a bunch of lines or what. Now for this second layer, I actually don't really mind the ink pooling just a little bit around these areas. I kind of want that effect. I think it might actually look better. So we'll see. So in case you're wondering, I am on kind of a mission today. Like I'm spending a lot of extra hours because I really want to get this section like done mostly. I just need to get some chunks done because I have like ink wash to do, you know, and it's gonna take a while. So just gonna keep going. All right, that layer is dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and peel that, I think. Now I'm gonna put on another layer of masking fluid, let that dry, come back and do another layer on the sky. But I think for this layer, I'm going to try and do just water on top and then the ink. I'm going to take a paper towel when I do this and try and kind of create more of a gradient here. May or may not work, I'm not sure. I find that like lifting out of the ink wash doesn't really work that well, like when it's drying. I find that the India ink really, really wants to spread. So if you kind of wait till it's mostly dry and then like pull some stuff off, it just spreads back in there again. I'm going to try it, but that's been my experience so far. All right, we're going to do that next layer. So I'm going to do water on the top half. Right about there, I'm going to start pulling in the ink. Pooling that I want. Okay, now I'm gonna use this paper towel. Try and pull up some of that. Make a little bit more of a gradual gradient. I don't know how how much it's going to show up when it dries, but we're gonna see. I noticed on that last layer when I pulled up the masking fluid, it did pull up just like a little tiny bit of the ink, so I don't know. I always have kind of mixed results with that. I think it kind of depends on how much staining is happening on the paper. I'm just continuing to work my way through. I think I made a good amount of progress today, but there's still plenty to do. Oh my god. Yeah. Don't know where I'm going to find the time, but I'm just going to keep chugging along. So we'll zoom into what I have here. You can see it front on. So, in this part on the right, I'm working my way through doing the big dark chunks, and then I go back through and do the details. So it's just not a quick process. You know, there's just a lot of, it's hard to like look at all of the details and take them all in and not get just lost in there. So I spent a lot of time kind of like finding my place again and finding my place again. It's like my eyes have to go through this visual maze over and over again to figure out which clump of leaves and twigs I'm actually looking at. Yeah, and that's just mentally tiring after a while. And again, it's always worth it though. Like it looks cool when you get it done. Like a section that I have done all that in is right here. And it is worth it. It's just, you know, not quick. So I have a feeling I'm going to be working on this a little bit after Halloween, just like I ended up doing last year. But, you know, what can you do? So I figured out something interesting here. So I peeled off that masking fluid, and it picked up the ink. You can see it. It's not supposed to be a white stripe. It's supposed to all be that color still that it covered up. And you can see that it happened right here too, but I was kind of not sure what to think about that. So what that tells me is that I can't do them like the way I was planning to do it, where I was going to use masking fluid. I think any spot on the page actually where I was thinking of putting masking fluid over pre-existing ink wash, I'm going to have to scrap that idea. So I guess I'm really glad that I did this experiment because I think I would have been really frustrated if that's what it ended up looking like. Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed about that. I think I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna try and kind of play with it a little bit and fix it and see what it looks like, just so I know. So I go and mess around with the sun like this. It actually kind of like looks cool. I was kind of playing with that before when I was messing with it. So weirdly enough, this little sun area is actually more forgiving than you would think. Now, I did figure out that the gradient, I don't know if you can really see it on camera, the gradient thing did work. Where I had water up top and then put more ink down here. So that's cool. And I will do that in the real drawing. So I left the pencil line, and because I found when I drew that line with ink, it was too much, but I'm not sure that not drawing it was really a good choice either. Like, I need something to define it, but I'm already seeing right now that it's like a little dark. And the problem is that it's already covered up with some ink, so I don't think that I can erase it at this point. So another thing I'm learning here, I may have to just do that by eye in the moment, spontaneously, and since they are mountains, I guess it probably doesn't really matter. Nobody's gonna be able to tell. Especially since I'm literally like drawing mountains that are completely from a different area that actually have, if you look at it really closely, there are like swirls on them. Not something that would be happening in real life. In case you were wondering, ponderosa pines grow at a much higher elevation than swirls. See, okay, this left some lines in there, but I kind of like it. It's kind of cool, kind of stylized and interesting. There's really no rule in how you do the sun. Like, because the version of the sun that I have in my photograph is just what the camera does to it. The sun doesn't really have like these rings when you're looking at it, you know? So it's kind of like, it's up to your own interpretation because everybody's eye kind of interprets that a little bit differently. See, okay, so I left that pencil line and I was thinking that I might like what that looks like, and I do. So I think we'll be okay with that. All right, it is the next day. It's been like 10 hours. So about, I don't know, half an hour ago, I went and I put some masking fluid on top of a very empty area that just had the ink wash on it. And I have this thought, you know, the thing is I was testing this before and it wasn't picking up the ink the way I saw last night, and it's like, what is going on? So one thought I have is that maybe the ink just needed to sit longer. So I'm gonna see what happens now when I peel this up, and it should be really obvious if it's doing it, so. It is doing it. It is. Look. That's interesting. All right. Wow. Kind of changes my thoughts on some things, I think. I'm considering that I might go and peel up the masking fluid that's on the tree. And do the parts that are underneath that, and then once those are dry, then go on and put the masking fluid on top of the pen. I have to think about that. I'm going to spend a lot of today like doing experiments in the background, because I can't have it doing that. It's not as bad. I will say it is interesting that it's not as bad, but it's still happening, and it's not acceptable. The other one I wanted to test too. Okay, so I actually remember this from before. So I had gone and put some masking fluid over those sections too, because they're much darker, so it'll be easier to see like what it's doing. See, that one is not as obvious. Isn't that interesting? This paper, they're the same paper supposedly, but they kind of have like a slightly different texture, so it makes me wonder about that. That might be what's going on too. Right, yeah. So it doesn't take up the pen, but it does kind of lighten up the ink wash just a bit. It's really interesting on these ones. I'm just gonna sit down. See, on the darker layers, it didn't really, I don't know if it peeled that up or not. I can't really see it. So that's, I don't really know what to make of that. There's something going on there. Yeah, see, like on these darker areas, you can't even tell. So it's really only a problem. Maybe it's that in the darker areas, the ink has been able to sink deeper into that paper and really stain it. So there's nothing for it to peel up really because it's stained. Whereas on the lighter layers, it's like, there's just not as much ink there. So I'm able to pull up little bits of it and you can tell. I don't know what to think about that. Okay, so this is perplexing. Another thing I want to check too while I'm sitting here is if I go painting back over that, which I may have to, were there any areas that marred the paper and therefore it's going to make marks like that? So let's check it right now. We're going to paint over this. I'll let that dry and see if there's any marks that show up. That would be good to know too. Because I'm assuming some of these areas I may, if this is the case, if this is what it does, I may end up having to kind of paint back over them a little bit, and it might be a problem when I start doing that. So I played around in here with doing a little bit of wet and kind of lifting things out with paper towels and stuff, and it's not all perfect looking. I think that's kind of cool. This doesn't seem to have been a problem here with it having marred the paper, so that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this paper over. I'm going to do a couple different things here now that this masking fluid has dried. So on this one, I am going to leave a hard line. Actually, I'm going to do the first layer the same on both of these, actually. So I'm just going to paint the sky that very light color for one layer. And then on the second layer, for this one, I'm going to leave a hard line for each new layer I add. And this one, I'm actually going to use a paper towel to blot and kind of make it more of a gradient. We'll see how that works. I'm not sure which one is going to look right. And then this one, I'm testing what I'm already, oh yeah, you know what? I need to add a couple more branches. On this one, I'm testing like what I was doing on the page there where I have some areas where I had masking fluid. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit. All right, I'm back. I had dinner. Okay, so I'm going to do the next layer here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove the masking fluid on this one because that one doesn't get another layer of ink. I'm just trying to make a decision here about what is this I'm going to do with these areas. I've already put the masking fluid on. There were a couple spots, like while I've been working, that I've actually gone and just removed it because I realized it wasn't going to work in the context of what I was drawing right there. So I'm kind of making judgment calls. It looks cool, actually. I think that's going to work what I did, so that's cool, actually. Well, definitely not the most elegant way of achieving what I just achieved, but I honestly might put like a layer, like draw it in with water first and then come down and let it join with the ink. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be the answer anyway. Okay, I'll leave that for a bit. And I will go ahead and also do this one. And with this one, I'm going to take paper towel and kind of dab around to make it look more like a smooth gradient. Which I feel like is probably what I'm really going to want it to be, so we'll see. Oh, yeah, bleeding over to the other side. Should have anticipated that. Okay, well, I didn't really think that through. All right. Well, I guess this is a good little experiment, isn't it? Okay. That's not how I intended to do it. Kind of messed up. Oh, that kind of works though. Okay. So, difficult to get the precision I would like there. I kind of wonder if like a Q-tip would be a better choice. I don't know. Might be kind of neat. So I'm just going to go back in a little bit. It's good to play around with it a little bit too and see like what your options are if you do mess up. Okay. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Not opposed to that anyway. Okay, this sounds funny, but I think the Q-tip idea might be a good one. I'm actually going to try that like on another layer of this. Okay, so on here I went and put pen in the areas where I peeled off the masking fluid. And it does look pretty cool. I like it. So now I'm going to put masking fluid on some areas of this tree that already have some ink on it. And kind of test out playing around with that a little bit. Okay, so I went ahead and put the masking fluid back on here and then added masking fluid in some other places because I remembered that I was going to need to do more layers of the sky before I fully removed things. So the idea here is to have some of the areas preserved white and some of the areas preserved slightly darker than white. So I'll have multiple shades going on there. So we'll see if this pulls off too much ink or not. I think it's going to be okay. So, because it's not... None of these are areas that are like on plain sky where it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to get back to these sunsets here. So I found the Q-tips. So I'm actually going to use a Q-tip to do this next layer on this one. This one I'm just going to keep a hard line just like I did on the first and do the second one a bigger ring. And I'm going to see what that looks like. So I'm going to try the thing I was going to do first where you do the water. This isn't exactly what it looks like on the picture, but I think it's close enough to give me an idea. I still think I'm gonna like the other way better, so that's why I'm not like super worried about it, but I want to try all the things. The hard part about not doing this with masking fluid is that it's like difficult to get it like a good shape. It's a thing I would complain about. All right, now I'm gonna do this one, but I'm just gonna use a Q-tip to pick up the excess around the edges to kind of create a gradient. Yeah, another thing I might think about doing too is still using masking fluid, but just putting it on the whole section. So if I peel it off and it takes like a little bit of the ink off, that it won't look weird. So I'm thinking I may still try another version where I do that. Is this dry? Yeah, this is dry, so I'll do that too. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I kind of like this one better now when I'm looking at it. Like with one layer, it was cool with the gradient. With two layers, it just... I prefer that kind of more stylized look. So that was the original plan, so it looks like that's what I'm going with. So now I just need to figure out the ideas with the masking fluid and how to make that work better. Because I do want that to be like a more precise line if I can. We'll see. Now, in between all of this, I am working on the drawing and I'm just not filming that part because I don't feel like moving the camera, but also the camera's trying to charge and it's hard to move it into the tripod when it's charging. So it might be at the end of the night, you might just see what I did today. So I don't know. So I'm done with the sky layers on this. I'm going to go ahead and do the mountains down here and then I'll take off that masking fluid, and I'm also going to start on this one, and I'm going to do one more layer here. I'm going to go ahead and peel off this masking fluid. Let's see what we got here. Okay, the pen definitely appears to be staying put. So, the question is, what is the ink wash underneath going to do? Okay, so these spots here had one layer of that lighter ink wash instead of this spot. There is a definite difference, so while it might be peeling up just a little bit of the ink wash, it's not really enough to matter, I think. We'll see right here, too. I think that is pretty cool, actually. This area, I just painted another layer of ink wash down there. And then I used the paper towel to blot it, but it actually left some paper towel texture. And at first I was like, ah, but I don't know, I might like it. We're gonna see. I mean, it is supposed to be like a rocky, mountainy area, so maybe it'll be cool. I'm gonna go ahead and peel the masking fluid off of here. So we'll see how that looks. And then when this dries, I'll paint another layer here. All sorts of multitasking going on here. And in between, I've been working on the drawing over there. Okay. It's okay, but I think I'm gonna like this one better. Oh, I guess for this one I need to put more masking fluid, huh? Okay. That's what I was gonna do. Glad I remembered. That was the whole point. So I'm going to, instead of just putting a line on the barrier of this next area, I'm going to put masking fluid all over it. So just kind of connecting the masking fluid together, which I don't love. So I feel like that's a recipe for, oh, now we're going to rip the paper because there's so much masking fluid. So I guess we're going to see. But having it be just a line on the outside just wasn't working. Maybe this will work better, maybe it'll be worse. It's a grand experiment. I still kind of think this is probably the winning proposition right here. Yeah, I like that one better. Just, it's more interesting, has more character. This one feels kind of forgettable. Okay, it's dry, so... Okay, now I'm gonna put the masking fluid on this outer layer. I feel like this is just gonna pull up a whole bunch of paper. I don't have a lot of faith in this method that I'm using, to be honest. But I have to try. I need to do it. I need to see. Okay, this is where I'm at. I feel like I did a lot today, actually. It was good to take some breaks too and work on other stuff so I wasn't like on my feet the whole time. But yeah, this area up here is definitely going to be similar to this. But as we move our way over this way, it is more in the shadow. And you get more of that tree right here that's closer in the foreground there. So it's not all going to be the same stuff. Yeah, and I feel a little bit more confident about the masking fluid that I already have on there now and how I'm going to handle that. So one of the things that I'm going to have to do after I get all this ink on here is go and erase all the pencil. Because once you put ink wash on there, it just like seals in whatever pencil is there. In some places that would be okay, like at the ridgeline where the mountains are. But I don't want that. In the other places, for instance, I don't want the dot grid to show. So, yeah, just gonna keep going. I do feel like I'm not gonna get this done on Halloween though. Last year it took me about an extra week to finish everything, and that's probably where I'm at with this too. So, I mean, what do you do? Also, this is still drying, as I suspected it would be, right here. So, I will finish that tomorrow.